welcome into a Vegas Square snippet. And in this snippet, we'll be talking about our predictions on where Josh Flash Gordon might land in the next 24 to 48 hours. I got Spike and Tony in the studio. And, obviously it was the big news of the weekend that Josh Gordon was ruled out with a hamstring injury that, whether you believe it or not, was turned out to be revealed that he injured it at a photo shoot. And the Browns have decided they will part ways with the embattled receiver. My initial question before we get into potential teams was, why now? You've had the marijuana, you've had the relapses, you've had the 2-year suspension, you've had last year's issues. He had a game-tying touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers to get them into overtime. And now you decide to make the move and get rid of him? Or is this, this can't be the straw that broke the camel's back. There's got to be more to this.
Yes. What it is,
What it is, what's so, sorry.
What it is, I don't know, it just might not be the chemistry is right in Cleveland for him. They're looking into even potentially trading him, not just releasing him.
Well, they're going to. They're putting him on a trade market to see, because getting a 7th-round conditional pick is better than nothing.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. I think this has more maybe to do with the Browns trying to completely rebuild for the future rather than trying to put in bits and pieces and make little moves in order to make the team better. I think they're just kind of saying, fuck the past, we need to move forward, and the way that they do that is to cut somebody that's...
Show you that no one's safe.
Yeah, that's been around for a few years, that's kind of in and out, hit or miss kind of guy that they just need to get rid of, and they need to end the drama. And if he does better somewhere else, I don't think the Browns organization or Browns fans would actually be upset about that.
I'm sure theoretically they're rooting for him as a person. And you can't take that approach. I'm hard pressed to come up with a player immediately, but you take Spike and you put him on the Yankees, and he has 6 seasons of just terrible baseball, and he looks terrible. He strikes out all the time, and then you trade him to the Kansas City Royals, and he looks like all of a sudden he blossoms into a Hall of Famer. You can't blame the Yankees. Well, look what you gave up. Well, 6 years. We can't. How long do you wait?
Yeah, sometimes just the fits in the organization's not right. So.
Why the fuck did you have to put me on the Yankees?
Because I knew you would say something. I knew it would boil your blood a little bit.
God.
But let's take trade out of the equation, or you can even put it into the equation. Who are the teams who would either be interested or may kick tires on the guy who now has obviously his drug problems, has his legal issues, and now has a lingering injury?
Yeah, I just read 49ers are looking interested into it. Another team I would possibly say would be maybe Chicago, maybe somebody that needs that little extra step in wide receiver to push them a little deeper into the playoff talk.
So, Spike, basically, everyone. Who doesn't need a receiver that can take the top off the defense?
Pittsburgh.
Well, they sure could. Could you imagine Antonio Brown, Juju Smith, and Josh Gordon?
It would be sick. But what I'm saying is,
you got 2 guys running deep curls and deep and go routes, and one guy Juju just elementing around the field. Yeah.
But I'm saying they don't need him.
Well, yes, theoretically there are a couple teams that don't need him. I'm sure the Chiefs don't need him with what they have too. But How do you say no to a guy when you get him for a?
Oh, sure.
Maybe next to nothing.
Yeah, for next to nothing, or like you said, a conditional 7th round. Maybe something a little bit higher than that. But these are not deals that you make and that you worry about. It's so low risk, high reward that if he does pan out and he does get his shit together and he can put up some numbers for you, then obviously you're going to be a better team because of it.
Yeah, what other team? Everybody always goes to, when Des Bryant got released, everybody always goes to New England.
Yeah, well, and that's because New England has such a history of taking retreads and
troubled guys.
Troubled guys, former clubhouse cancers, and turning them into to solid citizens. So, it's the sort of thing where, these are the kinds of guys that if Belichick can't get them to get their act together, nobody can. So if Belichick gets them in there and they can understand the playbook, first of all, which is tough because we've seen a lot of good, high-quality receivers come to New England, not be able to handle the offensive scheme, and then retire. But the ones that can, the ones that stick around, the ones that can make it, the ones that are serious about it, then they can last for another 4, 5, 6 years, depending on how long Brady goes.
Yeah, talking about Des Bryant sparks the topic of, what about the Cowboys? They need that strong wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, after 2 games, Prescott could definitely use a deep threat. Alan Hearns has shown that. Alan Hearns, Gallup, take Cole Beasley. They don't have anything that's going to put the fear in you and make you game plan for a guy.
Packers, I would say, would be another one, maybe.
I've got one that is interesting that I don't think I've seen anywhere else, at least not yet. I haven't done a ton of research on this. But we're talking about a team that has a quarterback that's maybe underachieving, a new head coach, and a team that is no stranger to having fuck-ups and malcontents on their roster. That's Oakland.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Detroit.
No.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing publicly that, and I understand they're 2 completely different issues, I have a hard time believing publicly that John Gruden is going to get rid of Khalil Mack for conduct and money and bring in a guy like Josh Gordon, even though Martavis Bryant is on the roster awaiting sentencing for his suspension. Because I think the only reason that he's on the team is because they know they have him for a theoretical fixed period of time, and then he'll be gone.
Right. I
don't doubt. I don't dislike that notion.
Yeah, I think Khalil Mack, the issues probably had more to do with contract than conduct, although it probably was both, and it makes Gruden look better to say that it was conduct.
Well, when I say conduct, I mean he had no interest in neither party had interest in even contacting each other.
Yeah. Right.
I don't mean conduct like he came to camp and was an asshole.
No, I'm sure he was.
He never made a camp.
Interesting one I was just thinking of because he's such a deep ball threat, and you said his arm strength's really long slinging right now is Fitzmagic.
Long slinging. He's got 2 guys already, though. He's got Evans and Deshaun Jackson that can do everything that Josh Gordon can do. But do you think Josh Gordon would disrupt the chemistry in like a Jaguar team? They could use him.
They could use him, but do you think Bortles is
Bortles is just fine. He has an ability to throw the ball anywhere. His accuracy has gotten better over the last 2 years.
His accuracy is good, but his deep ball targeting
is just fine. I've watched him enough over the last 6 years. He can throw a deep ball. When you say deep ball, I mean, no, he can't throw the ball 80 yards in the air, but only like Patrick Mahomes. He can throw a 40-yard ball just fine. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, everybody can kick a tire, or everybody can be interested, or everybody can be reported to be a team interested, but I just don't know. There's not. What team is right now either so far in the dumpster that Josh Gordon would matter, or what team is so far ahead but still willing to take on a potential cancer like Josh Gordon? I mean, Giants are 0-2. They're not going anywhere. Beckham may make them better, but is it worth it?
No, I don't know. And I think one of the other things that we have to consider, too, is whether or not if Gordon gets traded instead of being released, will the Browns be willing to trade him to an AFC team? You know, if they cut out half the trade pool because they don't want him in the conference in case he does get his shit together and come back to burn him, that they're only going to have to face him once every couple of years.
Yeah, I think if they're already to the point where they're basically saying we're willing to take nothing for this guy, I think the AFC is still on the market.
No, yeah. You're probably right, but
maybe not the South, because you could put him in Jacksonville, you could put him in Indianapolis. I mean,
yeah.
Then he could burn you twice a year, and they're in the AFC North. My bad. They're not in the AFC South. You can put him in the AFC North. The Ravens could probably use him. The Pittsburgh, like we talked about, and Cincy has enough, issues on their team as far as guys with character. So, it's a possibility that he could realistically be on any side of the conference, AFC or NFC. Because that's my thought. If you're willing to get rid of him for next to nothing, you'll be willing to give him to anybody for Well, next to nothing as well. So
For a little something.
Anyways, well, we'll have to see in the next couple of days where he ends up, or if he maybe ends up nowhere. That could be a possibility too. Should have put that on the poll.
Yeah.
If you are on Twitter, we are at Squares Polls. We do have this poll up. There is a couple options. We didn't even talk about one of the options, the Cardinals. After I put it up, the more I thought about it, I said they're just in complete teardown mode at this point, waiting for Josh Rosen. So if anybody voted for that, probably not the wisest move. Anyways, so we appreciate you listening to this Vegas Squares snippet. We will catch you on the next one.